Hello and welcome to Channel Duello. The new Gwent expansion set, Way of the Witcher, is finally out, and it's time to review each card in the set. But I decided to do this in 7 parts instead of shooting a long video. Why am I doing this? First, that would be kinda boring. Second, the cards in this expansion seem to have strong interactions among themselves, and it looks like they are designed to be played in thematic decks. So I'm going to be reviewing the set faction by faction plus the neutral cards and upload these videos consecutively. So by the time you're watching this, hopefully all the videos will be uploaded. So make sure to check out the rest of the videos in the playlist which I will provide below. And this introduction part will be the same in every video obviously, so feel free to skip it and enjoy the rest. In this video, we'll be analyzing Squirtle faction. Well, Way of the Witcher is all about movement. And Squirtle's Witcher school is called Way of the Cat, and they represent movement and agility, and it is indeed movement, and most of the cards are related to movement mechanics. And let's start with Bronze Witchers first, just like the other factions. Well, Squirtle's Bronze Witcher card is Cat Witcher, the base card, and he's all about movement. He is a 4-powered card with 5 provisions. He may look weak to you, but he can provide a lot of points. What does he do? At the end of your turn, move self to the other row and damage a random enemy on the opposite row by 1. So immediately you get 5 points value. So your opponent can obviously remove him from the board, but if he doesn't, he'll keep on hitting random units by 1. Well, random damage may not be great, but you know, suppose you play him on your first 2 turns, he's going to provide a lot of points for you. And Adrenaline 4, so if you have 4 or less cards left in your hand, that damage will be upgraded to 2. So the longer the round, the better for Squirtle, obviously. And Cat Witcher Adept. Well, this bronze card isn't that great, but it is kind of useful. So why? Because it's a flexible card. When you put Cat Witcher Adept on melee row, it gives an enemy unit bleeding with duration equal to the number of units on that unit's row. So if the opponent is stacking all his units on a specific row, so you're gonna punish it with bleeding. But bleeding is not an ideal situation, so you may not really want to get that value from a card like this, because you know the card's power is 3, not that much. And if you put Cat Witcher Adept on range row, you give an allied unit vitality with duration equal to the number of units on that unit's row. So if you are stacking rows, and it's easier to do so than expecting the opponent to stack rows, so that vitality value is kind of better in my opinion compared to give bleeding to an opponent's unit. That's not bad, but it is an average card in my opinion. Cat Witcher Saboteur. Well, Saboteur kind of punishes opponent's row stacking. So when you deploy him, move an enemy unit to the leftmost position on its row, damage it by 1 for every card it passes. So if there are a lot of units on a specific row on opponent's side, you can get decent points from Cat Witcher Saboteur. But well, first of all, you cannot play him on your, let's say, first 3 or 4 turns, because you're not gonna get a lot of value. You know, you expect the opponent to put some units on the board. So it is kind of a end of the round card, and you may not get a lot of points if the opponent doesn't put a lot of units on a specific row. I mean, they will try to divide the units, obviously. So I mean, it's not a bad card, but I don't think it's a great card. But we may see this card on specific movement decks, you know, that kind of thing. But I don't think this card is as good as Cat Witcher and Cat Witcher Mentor, which I'll talk about right now. Cat Witcher Mentor, again, you don't want to play this card early in the round, and you want some units on your side of the board. When Cat Witcher Mentor is deployed, he boosts himself by the number of cards on this row. So there has to be like let's say 4 or 5 units on that row. So when you deploy him, you're gonna get decent value. Adrenaline Force. So if you have less than 4 cards, and whenever a card appears in this row, boosts self by 1. So if you keep putting units on the same row, you're gonna get more value out of Cat Witcher Mentor. But if you combine it with a specific effect, like if you move a lot of units to the row that Cat Witcher Mentor is, you're gonna get a lot of points, and you can do that with Gaten, which I'll talk about a bit later. So as you see, the bronze cards are all about row stacking and punishing opponents' row stacking and movement. And the location card for Scoia'tael is called Stega Castle. And as you expect, when it's deployed, you spawn one of the Bronze Witcher cards. And depending on the need, you can select which one. And I think Cat Witcher is the best one if you want to play Castle early in the round. Because the other cards, you know, you want at least 3 or 4 turns to pass to get more value, obviously. So Cat Witcher is an ideal first turn card. Anyhow, and the order ability is move 3 allied units to the other row. It is kind of valuable because you know, there will be a lot of cards in your deck that will support this. So if you move something, you're gonna get value, like the mentor card. So you move 3 units to the mentor's row, you immediately get 3 points out of it. And if you combine it with some other cards released in the past, you're gonna get even more value, which I'll talk about in the next slides. And the legendary Witcher Gezras, or Gezra, we don't know how he's pronounced, Gezra of Leda. And this guy, I think it's a guy, and the drawing looks kind of like a female in my opinion, but the voicing is male, so I think Gezra is a he. And correct me if I'm wrong, by the way. This is a great card. I think it's a 5-star card. I'm not rating the cards in this video, but this is a great card because you can get a lot of points regardless of the positioning on your board. And if the positioning is right, you're going to get huge value out of this card. Let's read it. If Gezra is on the melee row, at the end of your turn, Gezra is moved to the range row and puts a random allied unit on this row by 1. But if you have Adrenaline 3, I mean 3 or less cards, and this card is really crucial, I mean you don't want to play this card if you have 4 cards in your hand. I mean you must always play Gezra 3 cards left in your hand. Because when Adrenaline triggers, instead of a random unit, affects all other units in a row. I mean you can have like 5 or 6 units, and when Gezra is moved, you're gonna get plenty of points for each unit. Even though, I mean, it's randomized, you're gonna get, I mean, they're not gonna be randomized, by the way. I mean, if you have 5 units, they're all going to be boosted by 1. And if Gezras is on the range row, at the end of your turn, move self to the melee row and damage a random enemy unit on the opposite row by 1. Again, if you have Adrenaline 3, and it's gonna damage all the units on that row. That's huge. And depending on the positioning on your board, you can you can put Gezras either on melee or range row. But you have to think about and decide what will happen in the following turns. So it's gonna go back and forth for 3 turns. And you can get a lot of points that you initially, you know, thought about. Because I mean, when I'm playing against Gezra, I mean, the opponent usually gets more points than I expect. So this is a really dangerous card. It has to be dealt with immediately if you're playing against this. So you should maybe reserve your, let's say, 5-point damage card for Gezras. And the epic Witchers for Scoia'tael, Gaten is a really good card. and you need to stack row, obviously, for Gaten to work. Y, and undeploy, move the other cards from this row to the other row, and damage a random unit for each card moved by 1. So if you're stacking your rows, let's say again 5 units, you play Gaten, you're gonna get 5 plus 5, 10 points. Right? It will damage random units for each card moved by 1. Well, there may be shields, armors, and so on. You could lose a few points here and there, but still it looks good. And if you have some cards that benefit from movement, that value is going to be increased, obviously. Like if you have the Mentor, Cat Witcher Mentor, and if it is the unit on the left side of the row, it's going to be moved first, and then the other units will come and join Mentor, and then you'll get a lot of points from those, because I mean Mentor will be boosted by the units that will appear on that row. So that Mentor card, that one powered Mentor card, could go up to 10 or 11 or even more. So and with Gaten, you'll damage a lot of units. So if you're playing against Scoia'tael, you inherently have a disadvantage by playing long round, as you see. So you should do as much as you can to prevent them from creating a stacked row, if you can. And Brehyn is the opposite. If the opponent is playing a lot of units on the same row, you can punish them by playing Brehyn. Destroy the rightmost unit on an enemy row with at least 5 units. So if the opponent has 5 units on that row, the rightmost unit will be destroyed. If the unit has shield or armor, it doesn't matter. It will just destroy it, wipe off from the board. Adrenaline 3, if there are 3 ore cards left in your hand, which is the ideal situation actually, the ideal timing for playing this card, destroy the rightmost unit on an enemy row with at least 3 units instead. So you don't have to have 5 units, and 3 units on a single row is a common situation, so that could happen naturally. But if it doesn't happen, you'll need additional cards to move the opponent's cards. So and I'll talk about them later. So there will be some interactions to get more value from Brehyn, obviously. And if you move something, it always goes to the rightmost side of the board. So keep that in mind. So it is actually in your hand to decide which unit to destroy. I mean, even if the opponent, is careful and playing the units on the left side, you can always move that unit to the right side of the opposite row. So if you're playing Scoia'tael or playing against Scoia'tael, it's all about row stacking, as you see. And Brehyn is a pretty good card in my opinion, and Gaten is even better. Those are really good 2 quality Epic Witcher cards. And each faction has a legendary beast, and Scoia'tael's legendary beast is really an interesting card. It's a really great design in my opinion. Saber-Tooth Tiger, 9 provision, 7 power, and it has Zeal Order, so the tiger can use the ability immediately, transform himself into Saber-Tooth Tiger stealth mode. So what does this stealth mode do? First of all, the unit disappears from the board, and it turns into an artifact. And at the start of your turn, damage all enemy units that are alone in their row by 2 and transform self into Saber-Tooth Tiger. So if the opponent is, stacking all of the units on a single row, and you can punish the units that are alone sitting on their side of the board. If you can do it once, you can get 9 power from this card, but it will keep hitting, and the opponent may not even target the tiger, because the tiger will be on the board once per two turns. So it is kind of annoying, and the opponent will get that 7 power value all the time, but the opponent will not be able to target the tiger. This is really an intriguing mechanic. I hope CD Projekt Red will keep printing cards like this. And the art is also phenomenal. Again, as you expect, the Premiere version looks fantastic. I would definitely recommend crafting it. And is it good? I think it's a good card, because you can have an option like for playing against unitless decks or the opponents that play not many units. So you can always punish them with this card. Making a bomb. Special card for Squirtle is actually not that good. It sucks. It's a bomb card, and CD Projekt Red is kind of trying to, you know, make bombs usable, I guess. But if you read it, this doesn't add much value to the board situation. Move an enemy unit to the other row. Okay, it has a synergy with the movement with all the other cards, but it gives bleeding 4. Bleeding is not a great option. I wish it damaged by 4. Well, obviously, since you're moving the enemy units, if there is something involved with movement, like you get value if you're moving units, that's fine. But bleeding 4 isn't that really good. Okay, it's 4 provisions, but it should be something more, in my opinion. I don't think this is a good card at all. And early in the season, we're seeing some movement decks. None of them are using this card as expected. By the way, if it's the only unit on that row, damage it by 4 instead. Still, it's not that good, in my opinion. It should damage maybe more. Because with 4 provision cards, you're getting a lot of value. I mean, think about Skellige. I mean, you have that Raider cards, with Veteran, you get a lot of points from 4 provision. So I don't think this is a good card. Okay, let's talk about theory crafting and possible interactions with these cards. We'll talk about all Squirtle cards. Where can we use them? Well, there are 3 obvious interactions. There's movement synergy, and we are having some roll punish cards. I mean, the Squirtle already had roll punish cards, but we will have more thanks to this set. And if we roll stack some cards by playing Squirtle, we'll also get some value. So roll stacking is also important. The roll stacking and roll punish are similar though. Let's start with movement strategy. Well, Cat Witcher is the obvious choice here. And there are 2 existing cards that will benefit a lot from Cat Witcher. This Dryad Matron and this elf card, I forgot its name, Sentry, I guess. And they were, they had a really great interaction. I mean, some people were using these 2 cards together, but they were kind of weak because you needed more cards to support this strategy, and Way of the Witcher helps with that cause. And if you combine these 3 cards, they're gonna provide a lot of value. Even if you pass, they are gonna keep generating a lot of points passively. So, if you're playing against this type of deck, you should do your best to eliminate one of these 3 or 2 of these 3 if possible. Row stacking. Well, Squirtle had a lot of row stacking cards. If you row stack, you're gonna get a lot of value from specific cards. So what are the existing row stacking cards? Vernassil is a good choice always, but the adding units to the ranged option, not the other one. The other one is only for elf decks. And Aethne is pretty good. Spawns 2 more Dryads next to her. And Elias, again, eats a unit, but spawns 2 more, so you can put 3 units on a single row again. And Figgis is also decent. I mean, he is a defender, and also put an extra body to the same row. So again, for stacking row, he is an ideal card, but not crucial. And obviously Brokilon Sentinels, especially with Precision Strike leader ability. If you manage to hit the death blow, you can put three of these guys on the same row, and which prepares for the ultimate punish card, which is the Great Oak. The Great Oak has always been one of the best cards of Squirtle, and he still is the best. Is still one of the best in my opinion. And row stacking is even more powerful right now with the release of Way of the Witcher, and Great Oak will definitely cherish that. And now we have Gezras. I just talked about this card. And if you manage to row stack, Gezeras will be an ideal last 3-turn point generator. Amazing card, and you can, finish with Great Oak after playing Gezeras. And Gaetan, as I talked about it, again great for row stacking. Even if you don't have cards, that benefit from movement, you're gonna get a lot of points from Gezeras, similar to Great Oak. So Gaetan is kind of a small brother of Great Oak, in my opinion. But if you manage to add movement cards, he's gonna even get more value than Oak for you. And the Mentor, again, will benefit a lot from row stacking in addition to Gaetan's movement. Row punish card. If the opponent is stacking rows, you can punish the opponent with specific cards in Way of the Witcher. Again, as you see, Gezeras is here. Gezeras is both great at row punishing and row stacking. And Brehon is a great card, and but you need some extra tools to move opponent's units, obviously, just as I talk. But if the opponent isn't careful and just row stacking the cards, you can immediately punish the opponent without even playing with his or her cards. And as I said, you need some help with movement. Melina is great for that, even if you're not playing guerrilla tactics. You don't with those leader ability, you have 3 options to move units, but with Melina, if the opponent doesn't touch her, you have unlimited options. Not unlimited, but once per turn, you can always move one of the units, either yours or opponent's. So I think she's a great fit, and she's only 6 provisions. And if you want the cheaper alternative to Melina, you always have Vrayhet Dragoons, and again, Dragoon can either move your unit or opponent's unit, so both are really good at doing that. And Saboteur can also benefit from this type of strategy. I mean, if the opponent is putting a lot of units on the board, this guy can generate plenty of points for you. Let's talk about the existing decks just before the release of Way of the Witcher. Scoia'tael was really popular, and we had alternatives actually compared to other factions. I mean, we had Nature's Gift, obviously, that was really depending on playing special cards, nature cards. And the existing cards, I mean, the newly released card, can they be played in a typical Nature's Gift deck? I'm not sure, but Gezeras could be maybe useful in that deck, but that deck isn't really big on row stacking. So Nature's Gift probably won't be affected, so I don't see any new additions to that. I think that the way it is just fine. Precision Strike Hand Boost. Well, none of these new cards provide hand boosts, so you can't add one of them. But if you're skipping on the hand boost but playing a lot of control cards with Precision Strike and the Gourd Finisher, I think that Panther card could be useful in that deck, because you're gonna eliminate a lot of opponent's units, and since this card is 1 turn here and 1 turn not there, so the opponent may be having a trouble to eliminate it, and you can get a lot of value from, I think, that Panther card. Tiger card, I'm sorry, not Panther. So I think that card could be useful in that deck. Deadeye Ambush. Deadeye Ambush is usually using elves, since the main ability is spawning elves on the board. And there are no elves cards. I mean, these are more mainly witchers, so it doesn't fit with elf strategy, but Deadeye Ambush is also pretty good at row stacking. So when you spawn those elves on the same row, you can get a lot of points. So keep that in mind. Maybe there are actually 3 alternatives. You can use Guerrilla Tactics, Precision Strike, or Deadeye Ambush. All those 3 abilities really fit well with row stacking. Let's say Guerrilla Tactics is mostly on movement, obviously, but all those 3 cards can be really combined well with these new movement cards. What about Mahakam Forge and Dwarves? Well, unfortunately, there are no dwarves in the new sets, so I don't think you can fit any of the cards in a Mahakam Forge deck, but if you're depending on being successful with playing only dwarves, good luck to you. Because I mean, I can't even put this deck in a tier list. I don't think it's a really competitive deck. It's a meme deck, but it's fun to play always dwarves. So go ahead and play if you're having fun. Okay, so that pretty much concludes what I was trying to say for Squirtle. Thank you for watching, and hope to see you in a new Duello video. And also don't forget to check our website and Twitch, and see you later. Take care. Bye bye.